RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Tuesday night live stream. And unfortunately, I come bearing bad news or news that's one of the things that not many people are talking about. And so I came across some information this evening that really set me back a little bit because for those that have been a part of the community for a while, travel is something that I've enjoyed doing for quite some time now, and it looks like it's about to become a lot tighter and tougher to do such. But we'll work our way through it best we can. And so I want to share with you some news about some test runs that take place within the next couple of hours. And unfortunately, it's going to be something that will be rolled out and thrown out. Will be rolled out and will become more likely permanent, similar to what has happened with the TSA and how that whole terrorist aspect was supposed to be something relatively short and sweet. But here we are almost 20 years later, and TSA is still around, and they're not going anywhere no time soon. So I want to share with you some articles here and get your thoughts on whatever else is going on out there. So as always, want to welcome those new to the community. Let me know where you're watching from via the chat room. And then also we'd love to acknowledge your presence, and we'll get right into it. So that being the case, let's dive right in. And so we have John talking about some silver prices there. It says silver 25, ready for 35. I'll take 40. Okay. We got Jim in the building. We got John. We got the pothead. Says Bitcoin broke 12K. How's y'all metals doing? Huh? Okay. We got Jojo. We got Jay. We got, okay, the pothead. So, all right. As always, for those tuning in, man, let me know where you're watching from. Any new viewers definitely want to hear from you. So let me know via chat, or when I open the phone lines, feel free to call in and let me know what's on your mind and what's happening in your neck of the woods. And so a lot of things happening. A lot of things, of course, will not be mainstream, will not be given to us via mainstream news. And so that's why alternative media is meant to provide an alternative spin on things and to keep you up to date on what else is going on. So we got Vince Grant says we got Silver, BTC, and Theta. But it says, love the shirt, Mike. Appreciate you, my friend. Rasta Pastor, how you doing, man? Spare a dime. Okay. We got Florida Princess in the building. And so Bitcoin going up. Go heck. So a lot of people are excited about a lot of projects out there. All right. So with that being the case, let's dive right in, man. And so I came across an article today that really caught me by surprise. Not too surprised, but when you start connecting the dots of everything, you realize that the current events we're experiencing now is by design, because it's a part of a greater agenda. And it all has to do with going back to what the World Economic Forum announced as the Great Reset, which officially, in their own time frame, kicks off in January of next year. And so here we have now the announcement of the Common Pass, which is a test trial being rolled out tomorrow. There'll be 2 flights leaving from the UK to the US, testing the digital aspects of being able to use QR codes and app on your phone and all that stuff that we've been talking about for quite some time now. It's here and it's being utilized, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. And so let me dive right in, man. I want to stop ranting and get right to the main subject matter. So here on the screen here. And so I was actually, occasionally I'll test and see what countries are available, what countries are open. And so a couple of weeks ago, I had a chance to go to Mexico. And the reason I chose Mexico is because it didn't require anything. It was just, book a flight and go. So did that, had a great time. It was great to get away and unplug officially. And so, of course, I've been back on the map trying to see what else is out there. So here, for those that might not have had a chance to check in with the travel restrictions, when you see the green on the screen, that means there's very minimum, if any, restrictions. And then you see the pink, there's some restrictions. And then when you see the red, basically red means closed. And so depending on where you're looking at, you'll see different types of restrictions. But completely closed is red, pink is partially open, yellow is reopening soon, which happens to be in this region, and then no restrictions happen to be the green. And so, so a lot of countries and whatnot are opening up, but yet even with the no restrictions, there are still restrictions. And so most of the restrictions are the PCR test. So you got to have a test within 72 hours of arrival before departure to have present before you enter the country. Okay, so bam, I'm like, okay, that kind of sucks. So I've been investigating and studying about the PR stuff. Okay. And so as I mentioned last night, for those that had a chance to watch the video about the CBDCs and the ultimate agenda down the line, it'll end up with some type of global currency, as they call it. The FSB said the global stablecoin. And so, once again, to go back towards the World Economic Forum, let me go back here and share with you what is already. Let me see where to go. All right, so as a part of, now's the time for the Great Reset. So as I mentioned last night, their map here gives an overall outline of what's all encompassed within this whole Great Reset plan. Of course, if you look over here to the far right, you'll see it says as a part of strengthening regional development. The whole a subcategory happens to be aviation, travel, and tourism. And so that's a part of what they're going to shift. So I would encourage a lot of people, if you want to kind of get an idea as to what the game plan is overall, take time and go look at this map here, and you'll see, something related to you and what you like and don't like in this little circle here. So definitely check that out. But yet, aviation, travel, and tourism is a part of the World Economic Forum plan. And so, of course, let's start off with what that's all about. So here is an article that I came across. And it says Common Pass, Digital Health Pass, and Global Trust Framework launches to enable safer travel and accelerate borders reopening. And so, reason I mentioned borders reopening because of, as of now, the synchronized event of locking down all economies due to the health scare has caused all governments to respond in alignment with what the World Economic Forum, as well as it says here, launched by the World Economic Forum and the Commons Project Foundation, a Swiss-based nonprofit building digital services. Here's that word, digital services for the common good. And so the World Economic Forum and this project here, Commons Project, has been basically, they put themselves in charge of trying to, as it says, for the common good, open up the border safely. And of course, how do you do that? You further impose restrictions and authoritative type of policies upon traveling. And so once again, idea of free travel was a long time ago eliminated with the implementation of needing passports to go in between countries. And so here we're going to have the rebranding of the passport system altogether. And so I can share my 2 cents on it ahead of time, but I'll save that for a little bit in a minute. But here's the primary article of the evening. Common Pass, aka this word here, passport, starts trials this week, referring to tomorrow. And so give you an idea what's going on here. Says this week, the Common Pass, as some call it, will be trialed by 2 airlines across a few sectors in the world. Says the system hopes to become a fail-safe way to verify a traveler's health status and tally it against local entry laws. If it works, it could inspire governments to drop the restrictive barbecue protocols, bans, bubbles, and quarantines, and help revive confidence among travelers. So once again, they try to promote this as something that will provide and create confidence amongst travelers so people can get back out and begin traveling. As well as I saw an article today mentioning that the airways are now starting to pick up because people are feeling more confident. So a part of their plan is to give the illusion that people aren't going to fly because of their concerns of safety. But anyway, here's a trial here. It says the first set of trials for the Common Pass are now underway. It says United Airlines and Cathay Pacific are working with a set of volunteers to test this on certain flights between New York, London, Hong Kong, Singapore for the framework. It's live on the Apple Health iOS and Commonwealth Android. So here we go. All right. So yesterday I was talking about the central bank digital currencies and how eventually it's going to be rolled into an app. Here we have this Common Pass, which is a test trial now, and there's a volunteer group, but yet ultimately it's an app. And so it's a digital technology company utilizing apps to track, trace, and monitor and give you the okay or nay as to whether you can travel. And so once again, this stuff is coming faster than we would have anticipated. And of course, it all plays into shrinking down everything that has been considered a privilege and a blessing to be able to do freely as something that you have to now prove or earn or whatever they want to, however they want to tally it up, but it will be done through your phone. So not only will you have a central bank digital currency, and as I mentioned last night, it'll be the United States Trust United States Treasury Trust, whatever would be the name of the app, nice and pretty or whatever, for your central bank digitally transacted currency. And then next to that on your phone, depending on what else they may want to restrict us to, you're going to have one of these apps here. And I'm not sure what they're going to, when the test run is all said and done, it's going to be implemented in other countries, primarily in Europe, as well as Africa and everywhere else. And of course, here it'll probably roll to the United States last, but it's going to be another app on your phone where if I can dive in deeper, but in a nutshell, it's going to be an app service that is linked up to a certain health provider or certain probably government entity eventually that will track and trace all your health data. And they will also require you to input your information for your health, as well as eventually, as one of the articles mentioned here, the whole idea of the vaccine. So, whether or not you have your up-to-date vaccinations or whatnot, it'll be included in the app. And of course, your phone will be something that you carry with you all the time. So by the time you get to the gate to check in, you got to have all that stuff figured out. And before you can board the plane, probably right next to when you scan your ticket and the little digital thing, you're going to also be, holding up your phone, and it'll either go green or it'll go red. And then that's going to be, in a nutshell, the new method towards traveling in the days ahead. And so it starts tomorrow with this test run. And so I'm not surprised whatsoever, but it's it's just the framework and how it's being rolled out. And so once again, the World Economic Forum has it. This is one of the many things that's on their list. So this is a question that I want to put out there to you guys. If the currency is being solely digitized, where they're going to remove currency, physical cash, and make it a app, your health records in order to travel will be an app. What other types of apps can we expect to be rolled out eventually is going to be the next question. And of course, I'd imagine if you go through all here, so we have one of the other areas on this map is your digital identity. And so that's a part of harnessing the fourth industrial revolution. And so if you go on and on and on, these are all things that there's a think tank, some type of orchestrated body of individuals, non-elected officials that are working on every single avenue here of what's going to be rolled out. And this is, in my personal opinion, this is the 5 to 10 year plan of having everything as a part of, that's a part of their agenda on this map here, rolled out in the form of some type of app or who knows what. But this is what's happening, people. So I wanted to take a minute to share with you something that you probably won't hear from too many other sources, just because, outside of the IMF situation, the crypto situation, the metal situation, political chaos, with President Trump out here doing these campaigns saying the same exact thing over and over and over again. Then also on another subject matter, I'm not sure if you had a chance to talk about or to find out about what's happening right now or what has been transpiring in Nigeria. And so, as I've mentioned several times now, if you took the time to just comb the internet and you travel beyond the United States of America and how other nations and how other individuals, our brothers and sisters, we're all visitors for the most part here on this planet here, and we're all interconnected beyond ways we can ever imagine. But yet there's other nations, other people, regardless of color, creed, and everything else, that's going through some issues. And so in Nigeria right now, the military has been unleashed on the public, and there's been some incidences where if you see videos, you'll see individuals, being taken out by the military. So the government there has turned the military on their citizens there. So more bad news there. So every nation is having their issues right now for the most part. And it's unfortunately that the military has been used in other countries around the world. And so just imagine what they probably have on their radar for what's going to happen here. But anyway, enough of me ranting, man. I want to hear from you guys tonight. What are your thoughts on this? I put out a question about what other apps do you guys see being rolled out? What are the things that you see in coming that's being worked on right now? Because this whole travel situation is not new. It's quite obvious where this is heading, with the whole idea of the lockdowns that was thrown out there. And so let me check in via chat as always. Give me a call, let's talk, and we can talk about some other things as well. There's more than enough stuff to talk about. I want to get your thoughts on this. Let me make sure the phone lines are open, then I can check in with the chat. and we can go from there. Okay. Got to cut my phone on. All right. So what else we got going on here? Highlight everything in a dollar. We can talk about it. Decentralized identification can happen, but everyone will wait for the gov to roll out their own Big Brother app. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's one of the things where it's not a matter of if, it's more so when. And so the fact that there is, for those that are tuning in, I want to share with you what I was talking about, and how, according to this article right here, Common Pass, Digital Health Pass, and Global Trust Framework launches to enable safe travel. So as of tomorrow, there'll be a couple test runs being done around the country, and it starts with people downloading some apps. So they're testing apps. Let me see if we can find it right. So basically, the code can be scanned. So with the test results and questionnaire complete, the Common Pass confirms a traveler's compliance with the destination country entry requirements and generates a QR code. That code can be scanned by the airline staff and border officials. A QR code can be printed for users without mobile devices. And so there's an Apple and there's an Android version of the app that will be utilized. And so the Apple Health on the iOS and the Common Health Android app is what will be downloaded. And so ultimately, just like TSA, after the terrorist attacks, or whatever you want to call that, back in 2001, the TSA was created, and there's the whole idea of the Patriot Act, trying to protect our country from terrorism. Not, to my knowledge, not one single terrorist event took place or was stopped. And on top of that, we all had a chance to see the flaws and how lax the TSA security was, with all the things that were actually being able to people smuggle through. But yet, 19 years later, and the TSA is still around, strong as ever, patting people down and using those body monitors to walk through and put your hands up and all that stuff like that. It's not going away. It's a part of the new norm they created. So it's just the fact they have these apps coming out where you have to do all your paperwork and comply. And as it mentions in the articles here, eventually all the test results, whether you've been infected or not, or whether you've had your vaccination, all that will be eventually rolled into that app to where you won't be able to depart until that stuff is taken care of. So this is kind of where we're at right now. And so I want to find out via what other things you guys think are coming as far as them utilizing technology to use an app for everything. They're going to create an app for every single thing is coming. And so Steve says, yes, the government wants to control everything, too similar to the big Bible says you will not be able to buy or sell unless you have the mark. No doubt. And so, yeah, that's the thing, man. It doesn't take, like for those that are believers or non-believers, to be foretold about events that would transpire in the future, and to be able to go find a source of the information via the Bible, to be able to start connecting dots, really confirms the fact that this is literally spiritual warfare. Like, it's good versus evil, bad versus good, Satan versus Jesus Christ himself. And we referring to those that are believers as joint heirs of the throne, are caught in the middle, where we're going to be the ones that are required to utilize our faith to make it through this time. So Christian says a universal object embedded under the skin, such as a holographic QR code. This will be to avoid things such as individual losing your phone or a phone being stolen. Christian, no doubt. So they definitely want a piece of your skin, and as well as the implementation of Elon Musk, Neurolink, where they want to be able to connect you to the cloud and help you with virtual reality and automated reality and all that stuff. Yeah. So I was actually talking to my son earlier about, where things are heading and kind of the time frame and the season we're in. I was talking about all these same things I'm talking about now about good and evil, and how, the mainstream media will never be able to touch on the fact that, there are spiritual forces behind everything that's transpiring now. And what better place to operate from? It would happen to be Wall Street, of course, and then as well as in politics. So between the financial system and the political system, that's the best way to further enslave humanity. And Satan is definitely busy at work these days. But yet, be of good cheer. All right, man. Joe says, Mike, you do a great show, keeping it real and not falling for the fake news from either side. I appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, we're all in this boat. We're all in the same ship, my friend. We're all in the same boat. We're being there's an alternate reality that they're trying to force on us. They meaning ultimately the enemy himself, Satan, who seeks to kill, steal, and destroy, and his minions, which happen to be those that are demonically influenced by, their God, which happens to be Satan himself. So that's the attack that's going on now, man. I wish there was a way for this type of information to be talked about mainstream wise. I wish, for those that are out there thinking that there's a guy coming in a white horse to save us come this election, I wish President Trump would get out there and just say the name of Jesus Christ. Just start, I wish he was a man that was able to express his faith openly, because our country could definitely use that right now, because amongst all the man-made options that they're throwing out there, it's all about more human intervention, and all that stuff has ran its course. Like, man has tried their best in trying to create a self-sustaining government, and it fails every single time. But yet, once again, it's all about what can man do and what can scientists. And so the fact you got political parties talking about we have to trust science. Okay, yeah, science is verified through scripture for the most part. So everything that's done now can be validated via the scripture. So anyway, man, I'm getting off too far there. I'm going too far with that, man. Let's talk a little bit. Give me a call. Let's talk. Curious to get your thoughts on these matters. What else can we expect? What other kind of apps are going to be thrown out there in the meantime? Because, of course, once they progress from the apps, as Christian mentioned, they're going to try to put it into your skin directly and all that other good stuff like that. It says, identify weapons formed against us. We need coins. They just rolled out 2.4 trillion in copper, nickels, silver in these cables. Really? Okay, I didn't know about that one. They just rolled out 2.4 trillion in copper, nickel, silver in these cables. Let me know where that information comes from. I'm curious to hear more about that. Darrell, Mr. Burks, I appreciate the love offering, my friend. It says, did you see Microsoft and SpaceX partnership to run Azure cloud computing blockchain on Starlink satellites? The digital system is being built. No, I did not. And so, it's good to be able to have people in the community to stay on top of those things. So I am not surprised. Once again, we got Mr. Elon Musk and Bill Gates. Isn't it interesting how the billionaires are the one that's orchestrating this transition, or their transition that they have planned for humanity, and they're further expanding their reach beyond the planet to where they're trying to go out into the orbit into other planets. And man, just the lure and the lust of wanting to be God, I guess, is very strong in those people who feel that they are above humanity. So I'm not surprised, man. I appreciate you for sharing that and keeping us up to date on that. And so data cables use precious metals, miles of deep sea cables. Okay, it says it's same system as in Christ's days. First person who paid taxes was Abraham. He paid 10%. Jesus Christ was born in a manger while he was married, traveling, because Joseph was traveling to pay Caesar taxes. Yeah, man. Blockchain app to store your cryptocurrency. Kamitha, that is, so I'm not sure if that is something that will be rolled out. That's already present. But let's get into some calls. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is William Birkenroad from La Jolla, California, man.
William, how you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight? What are your thoughts about this travel pass you're going to need pretty soon?
As long as I don't need a vaccine, I'm fine.
Understandable, my friend. What else is on your mind?
I wanted to see how you feel about what I'm. I'm an investor, so I uncovered something good for the community, I think, and I wanted to run it by you because I want to kind of go to work for the company. I've got a Glint MasterCard with a U.S. bank.
Okay.
But it's Glint Pay, which, you interviewed Maneco 64, right?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. They reached out to me a couple of times to be an affiliate. Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Exactly. I listened to you guys. So he's been looking at that because it's a UK company for 2 years. And at one point, it was only in London. And basically, you're able to buy gold and store it at Brink, Switzerland for right now it's 0.5% over spot, and you get that. And when, like, I have over 10 grams now, so I could actually have them call them and they would ship it. Of course, there'd be a fee.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I'm saving in gold instead of dollars. Now, in 20 seconds, I could demonstrate to you. I can transfer the Chase cash to the credit card, which is the opposite of debt. It's actually your own money.
Right.
And then in another 10 seconds, I can buy a gram of gold for 0.5% over spot, have it in Switzerland, and then transfer it back if I want to, to either dollars or on the credit card. Anyway, what I was saying is I love it because, I buy silver and gold for about 6 years, and I sell the silver on eBay. I was telling you that it was getting such high prices. It still is.
Yeah.
The silver, I keep the gold. Really, the gold is so much lighter.
Yeah.
But I wanted to bring that to you guys.
Yeah.
But if next time I call you, I wanted to talk to you about what I consider happened in when Jesus had to enter the tables of the money lenders and changers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate you calling and sharing your thoughts. If you don't mind with that, so I'll share my 2 cents on the Glint program as well as all the other programs like that. But shoot me an email if you want, my friend, and definitely, I'd love to hear more.
I don't have your email. I tried. I couldn't find it. So
just go to my go to rethinkingandollar.com. Top left is right there in the corner. Just click on that and it'll take you right to me.
Thanks, man.
All right, be good.
Okay, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I appreciate that call, man. I appreciate the call. I appreciate sharing that information. So I just be upfront and honest with you. Share my 2 cents on those type of programs. And so like right now in this new season, in this current season we're in, all bets are off for me personally. Like any type of affiliations with companies that have Visa cards, debit cards, stuff like that, and they store it on your behalf in a jurisdiction where you can't actually go physically get it. I personally question that, and that's just because as things get worse and stuff hits the fan, logistically speaking, I don't think you'll be able to actually get anything physical delivered to you in the mail, first of all, because I think there's going to be a breakdown of just everyday normal life, especially when it comes to mail and everything else. So being able to use a Visa card to buy gold, sure. But yet when it comes to even like Gold Money, so I was a Gold Money affiliate for quite some time. The Gold Money card came in handy because it was a European card. And I did the same thing, had gold stored here, there, whatever. But yet once it became a commercialized entity where they went public and they got bought out, and it's pointless because it was basically it's the same banking model. It became too invasive. They want to know too much with all the AML, KYC. It defeated the purpose of actually having all that. So my personal opinion is as time gets tougher, they're going to crack down on things that offer options such as that. Because when things really hit the fan moving forward, you will not be able to function financially the way you have before with all these options, especially as the CBDC stuff is rolled out, CBDC stuff is rolled out, and metals prices begin taking off. I don't think you'll be able to function normally. Visa and MasterCard will probably cut off all. Visa and MasterCard as a company will probably have some issues because once the credit market, i.e. the banking sector, implodes, go belly up, listen to Lynette Zane tonight as well, talk more about the 600 and something trillion worth of derivatives. That funnels through the commercial banking sector. The commercial banking sector will be completely decimated. That's why the central banks are going to step in. Once the commercial banks are gone, they're going to be issuing currencies directly. So that means Visa, MasterCard, which, the debit card and credit cards, that stuff will not be as plentiful and useful as it is now. So me personally, I don't get excited about stuff like that because when stuff gets tough, I don't expect that stuff to work. So my personal opinion is I don't mess with it. And I personally, I wouldn't. And on top of that, with the Glint card especially, in order to download that app, you got to give them too many permissions. And it's too much surveillance tracking in that app alone. If you read the fine print of that app, I didn't fall for it. So that's just me. But anyway, that's just me. And I would not encourage or endorse people to go out and do that, just because, once again, it's too many intermediaries between you and your weight. So, man, that's enough ranting. What else we got here? Somebody said, Barley Bro said, we are screwed. The thing, THC to CBD is 1-to-1. So a lot of it has to do with, perspective, of course. I mean, the what's being done to us in the natural realm can be very discouraging and depressing, I must admit. And me personally, kind of keeping my eyes on all this stuff and talking to you guys about it all the time can weigh heavily on my shoulders. But then I'm reminded of what the Lord says, and from a spiritual standpoint, realizing that this is not a natural battle. I mean, it takes place in the flesh, but yet, and that's where I've been really ramping up and depositing more of my spiritual account, making the word more prevalent in my life outside of what I normally do, just because it can be very draining. So I have to recharge my spiritual account up seriously by getting into the word of God and realizing that this stuff was already in the game plan and it was already in the cards. And it so happens that I believe, my personal opinion is that even knowing what's coming and what's being rolled out, there's no greater time in history to be alive than right now, man, because so many things that the Lord is going to do for those that are his own, it's like, man, you don't want to miss it. You want to definitely, hang in there and just trust the Lord, man. He's going to definitely see us through. All right. So I see a lot of silver talk. Let me check right quick. Let me check and see what's going on. So I see a lot of people talking about silver. Let's see what we got. Let's look at these markets real quick. I'm going to get into some technical analysis. That's one thing I'm interested in studying, because I'm following a lot of people. I want to learn how to look at the charts, not necessarily trade, but just look at the charts to see if I can be a couple seconds ahead of some things. But as of right now, according to silverprice.org, it is $25 on the spot. And it might, depend on where you're looking at, it might be different. But let me see here. It's 25.01. And once again, so outside of, like, right now, 25 an ounce silver is pretty impressive. But I always like to go remind myself how blessed I am to still be able to get it at a relatively low price when you just look at other countries. And so here we have the Chinese renminbi. And so let's look at the Chilean peso. I often go back and I look at the price of an ounce of gold and silver in countries where I've lived at before, just to see where they're standing, realizing that they're in a lot worse predicament than I am. Because right now we have the world reserve currency, which buys us, more time to be able to make, strategic decisions with our current currency. And so look at this thing here, 19,000 pesos. And I remember when I lived there, it was 500 pesos to 1. And so, yeah, the thing about Chilean economy is not doing too good right now, I must admit. Let me see here. Got a super chat I want to acknowledge here. A Black Dad's Perspective. I appreciate the love offering, my friend. It says, Travel Pass is setting the stage to nickel and dime people. I bet these apps will come with tier costs to gain access to privileges and resources. Further attempt to slowly erode away freedoms of people who will willful accept the new norm. The Black Dad's Perspective. I appreciate that, my friend, and I do agree 100%. And then here's another thing that people probably take for, or probably just don't really pay much attention to. A lot of people, especially the younger generation, they don't know the idea of having privacy and having, or the idea of having some type of privacy is the amount of permissions. When you download an app, it usually asks you for permissions, by, app guidelines. I think that's probably changed, because a lot of apps now that I look at no longer ask the question of, do you want to grant permission for this particular, thing or not? But yet, think about the central bank digital currency app, because it will probably end up being 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, definitely, halfway through this decade here, it's going to be the primary. It's going to be the probably, it's hard to say, but I can just go on a limb and say it's probably going to be the only financial app that we'll have, or not financial app, but only money app. So as of right now, we have options: Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. You got all those intermediary parties that utilize the Federal Reserve note and a dollar system as well as a banking type of organization. And so eventually we're going to probably have the CBDC app as the primary go-to when it comes to buying and spending, give or take. And of course, everything will be linked to it. Your direct deposits and your investment accounts or whatever will be linked to that. But think about the permissions that they're going to ask for in order to get full functionality of that app. And so I've looked at some apps before, and I think, like, for example, TikTok. I never messed with TikTok because I never trusted it, even before they talked about it being a national, Chinese national, whatever. But you look at it, it asks for 7 or 8 permissions: your phone, your location, your contacts, your camera, your mic, your heart rate, your parents. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, I'm like, what the heck you need all that information for? Like, so when I see stuff like that, I'm like, oh no, like, no matter who you are, I don't want you. But but as you just mentioned here, I can imagine, for example, as a government and these entities that are not even a part of the government roll out apps that we are eventually required to use if we want to operate at full capacity in this new society they're creating. They're going to be asking for a lot of permissions, which basically saying, we already know Google and Android, or Android and iOS, are basically just, they're just like surveillance monitors. I mean, it's equivalent, like, of having an agent in your house. You know what I'm saying? That's how open them things are. But imagine you're going to have the governments directly having access, because all their apps will require camera access for scanning purposes and, face ID recognition on your app to get your paycheck. And so, yeah, it's going to get a lot worse, unfortunately. And that's not good, man. I'm not excited about that, to say the least. It says, Victoria says, once they get everyone in the world vaccinated in digital currency and social credit score and tracking system, it goes away. It goes away. I'm assuming you were talking about this current health situation. And so that does make sense, because think about this. If this, the best example of an orchestrated event happens to be with, the terrorist attack. So as I mentioned before, I, for all my adulthood years, grew up hearing about terrorism. And they threw out 3 or 4 groups. We know who they are: Hezbollah, Al Qaeda, the Taliban. All this stuff. All of my adulthood life, for the most part, and none of that stuff really transpired here. Of course, there were some pockets here, and some crazy kids on medication going around shooting people, but nothing serious that led to the need to TSA and all those entities, the NSA and all those groups that were formed as a result of that. And here we are, as I mentioned before, 19 years later, that stuff is still here, strong as ever. And just now, after Eric Snowden, who was a patriot, thank God for people like Eric Snowden that's willing to risk their life to snitch on their employers. He basically told us that they've been spying on us since day one. And yep, it's been confirmed just recently. They talking about it's official. Eric Snowden was right. They've been spying on us. They know everything about us. They've been formulating digital identifications behind the scene on everything we do. And so once again, I remember, people talking about Trump needs to pardon Eric Snowden, as well as Julian Assange and stuff like that. People who just basically tell the truth, but yet the truth hurts when it's about a criminal organization. But anyway, so my point is, here we are now. Terrorism is no longer a threat. Trump is talking about having, taking care of the last couple of, leaders of the terrorism organizations and countries, to where now and I was thinking about this the other day. I wonder, if Al Qaeda is getting health care for, I wonder is this whole health situation running through the Al Qaeda and the Hezbollah camps, and are those people wearing masks? I don't mean a joke, but you get my point. But once again, once time blows by, all their plans are implemented and rolled out, the overlying concern goes away. So that is very true. I appreciate you for mentioning that. The Barlight Broker says, this tip is for 10 times sold train winner, Trap Dog. Okay, Barlight Broker. I appreciate that. Oh, man. What else we got here? Let's talk. Give me a call. Let's talk, man. I want to hear some people's voices. And also, okay, let's do this. I'll one up you guys. For those that, any new viewers out there that want to check in via video, as it says in the description, you click that link right there. You'll get some face-to-face action. You can log in and ask a question or share a quick thought. I give you a minute, give or take, to, show your face to the community. Anybody want to do such, let me know. click that link and join me. Victoria says Canada is offering up universal basic income and debt relief in exchange for you never owning property or assets ever again. Victoria, are you serious? Wow. That's different. Okay. Whew. Man. What is going on? Ember Dawn says invisible enemy is enemy really. Pick as CDC is yellow, uranium cake. Molecules, no joke. Pick of coronavirus is yellow, uranium cake molecules. Okay, I never looked that deep, but yeah, everything that's been thrown to us is not what it seems on the surface. And of course, as I mentioned before, for those that are coming in late, if you really want to find out what the game plan is, all you got to do is go to the World Economic Forum's their Great Reset agenda, and this little visual aid here. I keep reloading. This little visual aid here lays out every area that they're going to roll out some form of a new lifestyle for humanity. They even got LGBTI inclusion. And so once again, what is LGBTI? What is I? I never know. I know that I never knew I was on the end of that, but yet, yeah, I'm gonna leave that alone. I ain't gonna take it there. Anyways, Canada's setting up camps as we speak. So Jay, yeah, I remember somebody called in last week mentioning that camps were being set up. And of course, we got fellow members out here to stay up to date on the FEMA situation. So the FEMA camps are definitely up and running. And don't forget, in March, when official national emergency was declared, President Trump, from what I've gathered and what I've read from several videos out there, is, the moment that, President Trump declared national emergency, power, in a sense, was handed over towards FEMA. So FEMA, at this current moment, are pretty much operating in everywhere here in our country. I saw articles about how FEMA is the one that's allocating funds for here, for there, and this and that. And so, yeah, man. Christian says 5G networks need to be installed before digital money transactions can be processed, not even taking into consideration the additional bandwidth necessary for medical scans and identification scans. Christian, man, you on top of that, man. That's some real talk. That's some real talk there. So yeah, 5G. Once again, first thing came to mind, it says 5G right here. So yeah, that's definitely is a part of the reset. So yeah, that's man. And so Mastermind says Bitcoin is $12,000 per coin now. Okay, and so it's $12,000 per coin. All right, and so that's where I kind of get a little beyond myself, because I'm thinking, like, given the current circumstances we in now, all-time highs in gold, silver, Bitcoin, from a financial standpoint, sure, you can feel wealthier, richer, whatever you want to call it. But when you think about the greater agenda, you think about the world they're creating. Even if the Bitcoin went to $1 million, but yet if you couldn't freely move or roam or think, because you have to check in first via your app. You got to check in first to leave your house. You got to check in to walk. If you go back to an office building, you're going to have to use your QR code. You're going to have to scan your QR code to enter your office building. I saw that's another agenda I didn't get to just because it's just too many out there. But yet, in order to do any type of function in society in the way that they're positioning this and saying that, in order to get things back to the way they were, we got to have all these type of procedures and protocols for your safety. What type of world is it to be loaded with weight and gold and silver and Bitcoins and whatever when you're cooped up in a house with all those digits, nominally, but yet if you can't enjoy it, what difference does it make is ultimately what it's going to boil down to. Because if you're locked in your house, suffering from depression, emotionally bankrupt, spiritually broken, yeah, what will money do? What will money do for you then? Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mike?
How you doing? Master's caller?
Pretty good. It's Barlight Broker from the internet.
Barlight Broker from the internet. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight?
I'm doing good. Hey, I want to touch base with you guys and tell you something I noticed when I was watching that town hall meeting the other night with Trump and the little lady that was interviewing him.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I watched it. best I could. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Did you notice how like snide and rude to him she was?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It was like she was supposed to, she was told you that. She was hired for that. Yeah.
Well, Mike, I got a question to ask you, man.
Yeah.
You know where I stand with these politicians and how I feel about some of the stuff that's going on, but you don't think in your right mind that I would go up on national TV and try to embarrass and talk smack to Trump in front of the whole nation, do you?
If you are paid to go up on there and to do your best job to play hardball and make it tough for him, yeah, I can see people doing that with no problem as a part of their job. You personally, I don't think so. Or would you?
I wouldn't. And let me tell you something, Mike. There ain't a woman with enough balls to even think about doing something like that.
Yeah.
That was totally at work. It was just like a WWF show.
I don't doubt it. And what really caught me by surprise, or not caught me by surprise, but one thing that really, at this point is goes to show how much of a charade this is, because even the people who stood up to ask questions had cards. So the question is, were those cards written for them, or did they get a chance to write them themselves and then make sure that they could ask those questions beforehand? Because nobody asked any type of question of significance. Nobody asked anything about the Federal Reserve is at zero rates. What do you think about savings? Should Americans be able to buy gold and silver to protect themselves against the federal government? So real questions that people probably would want to know were not asked. And so, yeah, it to me, it's all the show. It's all a charade. Anyway, it's just amazing that, they give us the illusion of a choice between the left and right, and it all heads in the same direction. And I just showed you what that direction is.
You do realize that wasn't a show, or that wasn't a work, that the president of our country was said, hey, you know what, you're being rude and snide with me, and I don't want you to interview me anymore. Let's bring someone else up out of the audience, and we'll let them ask the questions. I'm not dealing with you anymore. I'm the president of this country. You work for some news broadcasting company. Scram.
Yeah, and that he did not do. He tried to play it off, and as a part of the acting side of things, like he is able to keep his calm and whatnot, and get irritated with these people asking the same question, even though he did get a little chippy. But yet, once again, he gave very watered down, generic answers. Always talking about the recovery and bringing back the economy and all that crap. So yeah, man.
Sure, he's not the type of man that would ever deal with something like that. He would have just spun her off to the side and said, "Scram."
Yeah, because he does have that boss mentality. So he's talking to, and I imagine from his point of view, given his lifestyle and what he's accomplished and where he's at in life before the presidency, everyone he talks to, he probably talks to them as if like, you work for me, or you're going to work for me one day. So yeah, he has that boss mentality. So that's one thing that's different for sure.
I only watched about 3 minutes of it. I noticed that right away and said, well, this will be a waste of time.
Yeah. So, yeah, this Thursday is going to be interesting. So it's going to be more of the same questions, more of the same responses, but they're cutting the mic off. So he won't be able to talk over Biden. So we'll see how that goes.
It's going to be more of the same BS is what it looks like.
Yeah, I agree, my man. But, hey, thanks for calling in and sharing your insights, my friend. Good to hear your voice.
Okay, Mike. Thanks.
All right.
Have a good night.
Yeah, be good. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello?
Hello. Hi there. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Amber. I'm Dawn from California.
Amber Dawn from California. How you doing? What's on your mind this evening?
Just a little bit of everything. The president the other day, I can't even watch it anymore. It's just good cop, bad cop. The left and the right are on the same exact party, and they're harvesting, and they have just stolen everything from us. Mm-hmm. Now they're going to give us a savior. They create the problem and then provide the solution, which is now give me your papers, like Nazi Germany.
Yeah, very true. Or download this app and show me your app. Show me your QR code. That's going to be the new form of paperwork, exactly. The QR code.
Well, and they're running all these cables across the whole entire nation, 250,000 miles so far, which is nothing new. They've already ran these cables across the whole entire Pacific Ring of Fire. That song, I Fell Into a Ring of Fire. Mm-hmm. Well, last year, Japan got hit with a humongous tsunami, storm, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And all that nuclear waste that had been building up, and all that water was just released into the Pacific Ocean. Mm-hmm. And when you know what radioactive wastewater does to bedrock, it liquefies it. It weakens it.
Yeah.
So now that the President Abiy has now been, resigned of duty, which he signed that deal with President Trump, and President Trump said 5 times, the deal's done with Japan, and this is the Great Reset. And everybody's like, oh, the Great Awakening, the Great Awakening. If you go to D.C. and you look at the Great Awakening statue in D.C., it's man getting sucked down to hell. And then I don't know if you all remember back in I don't know if it was the late 80s or the early 90s, I went to Disneyland this day, okay? The only reason why I remember this, I went to Disneyland, and there was these yellow umbrellas. And we stopped and we had a picnic because Disneyland didn't open until 10, so we had brunch with my grandparents. And then we went to Disneyland. Well, that day a man died. One of the umbrellas fell off and killed the man. At the same time, yellow umbrellas were in the Grapevine, the San Andreas Fault, the Cascadia Fault, because there's literally 3 faults that joined together right here in the Grapevine. And a man died, and it was like, bam, and Trump's sign just went up there last Tuesday at the same exact spot that the yellow umbrella killed man. Well, at that time in Japan, there was blue umbrellas. And then when you look at the coronavirus, the actual molecule that they're showing everybody, it's yellow cacarinium from Sinaloa, Africa. They've been poisoning us with this radiation for centuries, right there off the Nile.
Right. Wow. That's I wasn't familiar with all that information there. So I have on the screen here a little visual map of the Fukushima spill that has worked its way into the ocean and where it's gone and all that stuff like that. So this is something that we haven't talked about in quite some time. And so this picture here says, it says something about a tsunami back in 2011. So this is almost a decade now of the oceans being, heavily polluted. So thanks for bringing that to my attention again.
Yeah, last year, because they make storms. And I was literally watching that movie, I can't think of the name, but in 1958, where they use these towers, and then the Air Force sprays these metals in the air, and they're able to make storms. I mean, they can literally, I've literally seen the Navy part the ocean with these cables that are in the ground. I mean, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, the God of this earth is a genius. I mean, he's got it down. I mean, he's got the rod of God, he's got the finger of God, he's got directed energy weapons. And if you go to military.com, or you can go to the Pentagon, everything I'm saying comes from their websites. And it's like Henry Kissinger said, if you listen to Henry Kissinger's final goal is forced vaccination.
Yeah.
That's his final goal. And the reason why it's forced vaccination is because they've already patented all of our corn, strawberries, trees, berries, everything. Now they want to patent us. The Supreme Court Justice Roberts wrote, I think it was 2014, that they can't patent human beings because we are of our divine source code. Yeah. So they can't patent us, but if they change our divine, and it's even worse. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but I got to make sure I save some time to get some more calls on here. But I appreciate you calling in and sharing that insight there. You got us definitely thinking, so I appreciate you for calling in.
Okay. One last thing. If you look at Michelle Obama's presidential painting at the Smithsonian, that is your chromosome 8 DNA test. That's your chromosome 8 on her dress for the presidential painting at the Smithsonian. Now, they're testing, when they do these corona tests, they're testing for your corona 8 chromosome. What is your corona 8 chromosome? It is literally your IQ, and it fights cancer. And Bill Gates said, our goal is 1 out of 2 Americans have autism, 1 every 3 Americans have cancer. So, and then they give all these kids these books, and they're called Chrome books. It's low electromagnetic radiation poisoning, y'all. Wow. And there's so many cures for this, by the way. But do you want me to go on, or are you done?
I appreciate you calling in. I do want to get some more calls in, but thank you for sharing the information. Definitely call in again and shine some more light on that in the future. So I definitely want to try to get more people in if I can. So thanks for calling in.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Appreciate the call. So definitely, the goal in providing the phone lines is to get people to share their thoughts. And so trying to keep it relatively short as possible. But I appreciate that information. That was a lot. That was a lot we're giving right there. So I got people talking about DNA in the chat. Michael Obama. Oh, man. Appreciate it. Give me a call. It says, got Jesus. Yeah. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of the wisdom. Man. Proverbs. Whew. Cell phones and cordless phones cause bee colony collapse. Commando married 20 years strong. 5G is 60 hertz. Okay, so all right, people, we're approaching our hour point, man. I appreciate everybody for dialing in. I'm going to draw it in right there. But the goal in tonight and checking in tonight was to basically shine some light on the new application that will be offered via iOS and Android by Common Pass, and the test run starts tomorrow. And so, once again, if you don't believe me, just Google it. But yet, all the information is here. Common Pass starts trial this week, which is referring to tomorrow. And so all the information you need there is included. So once again, things are ramping up fast. The Great Reset is underway. We need divine intervention. So let's all stay prayed up and prayerful and prepare as best we can and try to find some good amongst all this chaos, man. And so get ready to dial back as always. For those that have enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up to the channel. And then also, if you find anything worth sharing out of here, share these videos. Let's bring those that are awake or asleep, rather, into the fold and help them become more knowledgeable as to the times. Then also, the Get Your Weight Up Collector's Coin is still available. Information for that is down below. And then also, if you want to be a blessing to the channel, get yourself some merchandise via shirts or whatnot. I got free resources at the store. Go to rethinkingthedollar.com/store. And other than that, it's been great hanging out this evening. Hope to be back tomorrow night, Lord willing. Other than that, be blessed, be safe. I will see you guys later. Peace. Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month towards the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream.